For grammar today, we're going to do pages 104 and 105 in your big Voyages book. Remember, this book you can't write in. I'm writing on the pages so I can show you what you're doing. If you want to write along, get out your writing notebook and you can fill out the answers in there, or just follow along with me as I write the answers, and you don't need to write anything down. Tomorrow, you're going to do a workbook page in the small Voyages book that you can use to practice it. So you can wait till then to write things. Today we're talking about contractions, which we've done before in Voyages, and then you've done it a lot in Simple Solutions, and then we had contractions for spelling words one week. A contraction is a short way to write words, so it's like when you put two words together and make it shorter. So the contraction we're working with today is not. So this one's a little bit different when you write it, because the apostrophe that you put in a contraction, it goes in the middle of the word not. So instead of doing like I am for I'm, so if you do I am, you get rid of the A and write I apostrophe M. So it's the first word on one side and the second word on the other side with the apostrophe in the middle. For not, you have the word are and not. You get rid of this O and put the apostrophe there, so it's going to be R N apostrophe T, aren't. When you write them in cursive, my favorite way is to do AREN, stop, and do the apostrophe T. You can write it like that, where it's all connected and put the apostrophe, but I like having that space right there so you can tell where the apostrophe is. It's in between the N and the T. All right? So they gave us a list of all of the different contractions that have N apostrophe T. So aren't, wasn't, weren't, don't, doesn't, didn't. So it's one word, are plus not, was plus not, were plus not, do plus not, does plus not, did plus not. So all of those are the first word with the N apostrophe T. These are special ones. The following contractions with not are different. So the word cannot can be shortened to can't, but it's all one word. So cannot, if you're writing I cannot ride a bike, it's CANNOT with no space. And will not, so I will not go to the store, is will not. However, if you're making it a contraction, you're putting will and not together, you put won't instead of won't. That sounds funny if you say it. Won't isn't a word. Look at how, if you write it, it doesn't even look like a word. So you don't write won't, you write won't. Okay? Now, it asks, which of these sentences does not use a correct contraction with not? So let's read through the three sentences. The movie wasn't really funny. So wasn't is the contraction. The theater doesn't sell popcorn. The children didn't like the movie. Let's find them up in this chart up here. So wasn't is was not. So the movie was not really funny. WASN apostrophe T. That one's correct. Doesn't, DOESN apostrophe T. They didn't spell it right. Now let's check number 3 just to be sure that it's not also incorrect, because sometimes more than one of the sentences is incorrect. The children didn't like the movie. Excuse me. So did, DIDN apostrophe T, DIDN apostrophe T. That one's correct. So B is not correctly spelled. Now down here for exercise 1, it wants us to make a contraction. So were plus not becomes weren't up here. So WEREN''T. Did not becomes didn't. Is not becomes isn't. Will not is that special one. So it becomes won't. Do not becomes don't. Are not becomes aren't. Does not becomes doesn't. And cannot becomes can't. All right, we're finished with the first page. Now let's look at page 105. It says rewrite each sentence with a contraction for the underlined word. I'm not going to rewrite the whole sentence. I'm just going to fix the two words into a contraction. So was not becomes wasn't. Double check it by putting it in the sentence. So Henry wasn't in front of the theater when I arrived. So it makes sense. Double check your spelling on the other page, or when you're writing them in your notebook, double check with the chart. The movie did not start on time is going to be didn't. I do not want to sit on the front row is going to be don't. So I don't want to sit in the front row. Lynn is not sitting with her friends. Is not is isn't. I cannot see the screen because of the tall person in front of me. Cannot is one of the special ones, and it's going to become can't. The children are not laughing much. Are not is going to be aren't. We were not talking during the movie. We weren't talking during the movie. The movie does not have a happy ending. It's going to be doesn't. It was not my favorite movie. It wasn't my favorite movie. Sydney does not understand why I did not like the movie. So does not is going to be doesn't. And did not is going to be didn't. So that sentence is now Sydney doesn't understand why I don't. Try that again. Sydney doesn't understand why I didn't like the movie. Number 11, I will not recommend the movie to my friends. Remember, will not is that special one that becomes won't. Number 12, most of my friends do not plan to see it. Most of my friends don't plan to see it. Okay? And then the last part, it wants us to change each sentence using a contraction with not. So we're kind of writing these as the opposite. So this says, I like scary movies. So the opposite of I like scary movies would be I don't like scary movies. So if I'm going to go to a piece of paper and I'm going to write, I don't like scary movies. You're going to find the verb in the sentence, and that's what you're going to help change. So I will go is a helping verb. So a future verb. So instead of will go, we're going to change it to will not go, and that is the contraction won't. So I won't go I didn't remember to see scary movies. The next one, I saw a scary movie last Friday. Saw. So the opposite of saw is did not see. So I did not see or didn't. You don't write saw because did is going to be making it past tense. So I'm not going to write I didn't saw. You're going to change it to see. I didn't see a scary movie last Friday. Okay. I'm going to just fix the verbs for the rest of them on this page instead of rewriting them all so that you can move on to the next page of work that you have to do today. My sister likes scary movies. So the opposite of likes is does not like or doesn't like. My sister doesn't like scary movies. We sit in the back of the theater. We didn't sit. Or not we didn't, that would make it past. Hold on, we don't sit. We don't sit. Because it's happening right now, not in the past. You can bring in your bottled water. So instead of can, we're going to say cannot or can't bring your bottled water. The ticket line was long. So was long, or you would change it to wasn't long. We bought popcorn. So instead of we bought popcorn, we didn't buy. So it's another one that's past tense, so you have to say didn't, but then you have to change it to buy instead of bought. We didn't bought popcorn doesn't sound right. The theater was filled. So if the theater was not filled, we'd say the theater wasn't filled. The actors in the movie were very good. So if they were not very good, we would say weren't very good. My friends stayed for the whole time. So instead of they stayed for the whole time, they didn't stay. We were surprised by the ending. So if we were not surprised, were not becomes weren't. All right. That is everything for grammar today. On this page, you will have to do the Voyages page in your small book tomorrow to go over what we just learned today. So if you're confused when you're doing your work tomorrow, come back to this video and watch it again.